everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Arushi and this is Curious or Curious Thoughts, and in my channel I cover things like lifestyle as a college student, mental health as a college student, and just go over a couple of my other passions like journaling and music. And today I'm going to be talking about burnout and how I dealt with it as a college student. What is burnout? So burnout is defined in psychology as emotional, mental, or physical exhaustion that is brought by stress. So this can manifest in terms of feeling extremely tired when doing normal tasks like cleaning up or making food, or you not having the energy to do the work that you need to. So the first thing I want to really cover is my own experience with burnout. So a little bit of background. I go to Northeastern University. I'm a third year psychology student at Northeastern University. And Northeastern University has these programs called co-op programs where you essentially get to choose a job that you would potentially be interested in working after you graduate, and you get to work there at 6 months. So this is actually operates like an actual job process. You have to submit a resume, you have to do interviews and things like that. So it's basically like a job interview and like setting you up for what you would want to do in the future. And as a result of taking basically 2 different periods of 6 months where you're not taking classes, you have to take classes that you would take during those time periods at different times. So this kind of results in taking a lot of summer classes. So my experience with this is I went into college in September 2018, so fall of 2018, and essentially I had to take classes because I was doing a co-op period in my third year. So I'm currently doing a co-op right now and not taking classes, but I had to do these classes over the summer. So essentially what I did was freshman year I took classes in fall, spring, and then there's 2 different summer semesters. So there's summer 1 and summer 2, and you can take 2 courses per semester. So I actually was fortunate enough to do summer 1 in Boston, but in summer 2 I was lucky enough to find the courses that I needed to take abroad. So I actually did these in South Korea, which I actually mentioned in a previous video. And so essentially what happened with this kind of like scheduling academically was that I was taking classes from September 2018 all the way to July 2020. So that means that I have taken classes in September, the fall of 2018 semester, spring 2019, summer 1, summer 2, fall 2019, and spring 2020, and then summer 1 2020. So that is 7 different semesters that I was taking classes, of them which 4 were full year courses. So that means I was taking 4 regular classes, and then I had labs on top of them because I was taking like biology and chemistry and like organic chemistry and things like that. So those come with like one credit extra lab courses. So essentially my schedule was insane to say the least for the last 2.5 years. A little bit more background regarding my own history. In high school, I was a fine student, but in the high school that I was in, there was a lot of stigma around who does well in academics, and I even if I did well, I kind of never really considered myself to be doing well academically. And essentially when I came to college, I really wanted my own perception of that to change. So what I did in my freshman fall semester, which no one should ever do in my opinion, don't do this, do not do this, please save yourself, freshmen, please. So I was motivated by the fact that I wanted to do really, really well academically because I wanted to kind of prove to myself that I could do well academically in my fall freshman semester. So it started out great. I was going to all my classes, I did all my work in advance, I came home every single day, I had my meals, also sometimes did not have my meals. I will make a video about like body dysmorphia and things like that a little bit later, because obviously everything happens at once. We can't exclude something that doesn't happen. But I used to come home from school or like classes, and then I'd have my food or whatever, and I I'd just work. So I'd make notes, I'd make outlines, I'd do problems. I just would pile on the work. And honestly, I work really, really hard to try to like get these amazing results. And I found myself not doing as well as I thought I would, especially in certain classes. In certain classes, it really, really helped. My effort really paid off. I got amazing grades or whatever. And in those classes that I felt like my effort wasn't really paying off, I just felt like, oh, I just need to try harder. I just need to, do something different, and I'll try harder. And that was my first mistake. When you face failure, you feel like it's all on you, and failure isn't necessarily something that's bad. If anything, I think failure, especially in certain classes, really teaches you what you can handle and the steps that you need to take to make it better. As a side note, I was kind of at the same time kind of just like shutting out myself socially. In freshman year, you would think that everyone who comes in at first glance is like trying to make sense of their social situation, and I actually was fortunate enough to have a really nice group of friends from high school who I'm still in touch with. I didn't really make the effort to get to know a lot of people or to go to a lot of clubs, and I think that was a part of the reason why I was really kind of unhappy and eventually faced the effects of burnout, because I was just not taking care of myself. So there has to be a balance. Essentially, that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that there has to be a balance. And you cannot have just academics or just social life. You have to have a balance. And obviously it's really hard to do that, and it fluctuates all the time in college. At midterm season, final season, you're obviously going to be working hard. You're not going to be going to see a concert or something like during midterm season. Obviously you're going to be focused on that, but there is a balance, and it's really, really important. Because I was working so hard, is by the end of the semester, when finals rolled around, I was exhausted. And when I mean exhausted, I mean I couldn't even look at my notes or paper and feel motivated enough to get my work done. And I think, looking back now, I really think that that was because I didn't take care of myself. So this kind of goes back into eating properly, self-care, social, emotional well-being. I essentially really neglected all of those self-care things that I really needed. And that doesn't have to be like pampering yourself or something. I just wasn't taking out enough time to do things that I actually really liked. So, for example, I really enjoy singing and I really enjoy music. There was a group, a choir, that I actually eventually joined in sophomore year that didn't even have like an audition process that I could easily be a part of. So I essentially like blocked out things that I was really happy about. This resulted in me being emotionally and mentally and physically very exhausted. That is freshman year fall semester, and I didn't really get a chance to recharge properly before I went back to spring semester. So then in spring semester of freshman year, again with the same pattern, I was still kind of facing the lasting effects of burnout, and I just was not able to motivate myself in the very beginning. But then as a result, I was not doing as well in my classes, and then I was like, oh, I have to just pick up the slack. And then I kind of just went into another loop where I was just working all the time. And then summer one was when I, was taking classes, and then I actually started working at a lab. So I was working 16 hours on top of taking 2 classes and a lab class within 7 weeks, which usually translates into a 14-week course. So it was double the work. Again, I was really piling on the things that I was putting effort into. And so I'm not saying that I regret working at a lab at all. I actually learned a lot from it, and I learned how to conduct myself in a team and just like a potential work environment that I'd be exposed to. So that was really nice. And so fast forward to summer 2, which is I guess July and August of 2019. Yes. Oh my god, that feels forever ago. So in Korea, I actually really discovered a lot about myself. I will make a video about my experience there and my study abroad experience. And essentially I was taking 2 courses again there, but I really enjoyed them. I was in a new environment. I was really, taking the time to explore new countries. So that was really interesting for me. And so I kind of like felt like I got a little bit back to myself. I was, enjoying actually taking classes, which is surprising because after taking classes for so long, you wouldn't think that I'd enjoy it, right? So, and then after I came back from Korea, I, went back to Boston after a couple weeks at home right before the semester started. And so fall semester of sophomore year was honestly a very emotionally turbulent time. Essentially, that took a really harsh toll on me mentally as well. And then I was basically kind of isolated even more socially. And again, this all resulted in me being emotionally very, very exhausted. And so now spring semester rolls around, spring 2020, and obviously Miss Rona hits the fan. I literally have to move back home, and I haven't been home since 2018, like living at home with my parents. So that was another, a lot of mental exhaustion that I wasn't expecting to undertake, and I had to take finals at home, which is stressful. So in short, I was really exhausted up till the time that I moved back to Boston to start this co-op process. That is my real experience with my like timeline of my burning out. I wanted to make this video because I want people to kind of identify when they're getting burned out, and I want to suggest ways that you can help yourself. So the first piece of advice that I would really want to give to people is that you have to do things that you like. It doesn't matter if you think that your friend won't like it or it won't follow your career path. Do something that you like in college. I cannot stress that enough, okay? Like I wanted to sing so badly, right? And joining the choir in my sophomore year really, really, really helped me because I was able to channel my energy into something that I actually liked. Essentially, I was very emotionally exhausted, and so that's one thing that I really, really recommend is to find something that you like in college and just stick with it. I also am part of a volunteer club on campus as well, and that really helped me as well, channeling my energy into helping other people volunteer. I volunteered at like a food pantry and things like that, so giving back to my community really helped me. My second piece of advice is surround yourself with people who you actually learn from and care about and are actually being stimulated by. So this was one mistake that I didn't really realize that I was doing in college. And so I kind of heard, I believe it was KDU on YouTube, shout out to her. I recently saw one of her videos about, advice that she recommends for freshmen, and I wholeheartedly agree. When you're first entering freshman year, a lot of people make the mistake of, either not socializing enough or socializing too much. So my mistake was to not socialize enough. And one thing I would recommend is make acquaintances with everybody, everyone in your major, clubs that just anything that makes you happy. Like, yeah, your work is there, but those social interactions really, really end up mattering a lot. What I would really recommend, and this is what Katie kind of said in her video as well, was to have a big social circle initially, but then kind of narrow it down to the few people that you're close to. The third thing I recommend is keep your nutrition up. I made the amazing added mistake of trying to lose weight and trying to, get my eating in check by not eating as much. I didn't feel hungry, and so I just didn't eat. Like I used to, when I was at my most stressed, I used to just go days without eating properly, and even now this kind of like still lasts where, if I'm not hungry till like 3 p.m., 4 p.m., the whole day, I will just not eat anything. And so it's something that I'm really working on, but even if you're trying to lose weight or whatever, it's important to eat. It's important to eat healthy. It's important to eat nutritious. I cannot stress that enough. Now that I've kind of started cooking for myself managing, tracking my meals, but I've kind of found foods that I can make on a daily basis that are nutritious and that are healthy. And so keeping your nutrition up also translates into your physical exhaustion. The reason why is that you're getting your energy from food, and if you don't eat your food, then like what are you gonna have? You're not gonna have the damn energy to do the things that you need to do. You know, even taking out 10-15 minutes, it will not hurt you to eat something, to get your energy level up, to drink some water, to stay hydrated, to manage these kind of energy levels in your body is just so important because it translates into your mental and emotional exhaustion as well. The fourth thing I would really recommend is taking the time to actually take care of yourself. Like if you do need to take the time out to between your lessons to just watch a TV show or to listen to your favorite album or to just text your friend or to do a face mask at night before you go home, or before you sleep, it just really makes a difference. Like I've noticed that when I choose to reward myself with things like watching TV or watching Netflix or just like drawing or reading, even just any kind of activity that you can do by yourself that would replenish your energy, it just gives you time. Obviously procrastination is different than like giving yourself time to breathe, but sometimes it feels like you're overlapping these things, like you're procrastinating your work because you're watching TV, and sometimes that does happen. But you know, also taking the time for yourself is so freaking important. Like I literally cannot stress that enough. I started kind of blocking out time chunks where I'd do a lot of work and then I'd take a good 20 minutes to just de-stress. And this started really helping me because now I have something to look forward to. I have a break. I feel like I've retained information. You cannot go hours and hours and hours of studying with no break. It's just physically impossible. My final thing would kind of be to maintain like a schedule. You know, college is so variable in that you have classes at different times and making food in between. Like sometimes it's just really hard. So I can actually show you my kind of like schedule from like last year. This was kind of like my schedule. So I kind of like wrote in my classes, and then I took out times for when I'd have my clubs and when I'd go to the gym. That's another thing, keeping your physical fitness up. Working out and or meditating, doing something physical with your body, whatever it may be, it just really changes your life. Like now, I feel like my lifestyle has changed so much since when I started. I actually, when I come home from work, I choose to take a good 10-15 minutes to at least do something physical. I know it's just 10-15 minutes, but it changes your life, seriously. Or in the morning, I choose to meditate for 10 minutes before I go to work. And it just, your body feels like it has enough energy to go on, which is so important. It's just so freaking important. I'd love it if you'd comment below about your specific instances with burnout and what you do to cope with it. I take breaks. Everybody wants to not be going at full steam ahead at all times, but I just really hope that if you have ever experienced burnout as a college student, you would be able to take some help from this video and from my advice. If you do want to talk about your personal experiences with me at any time, I'm available at Curiots on Instagram. I post a couple times a week. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.